All right, let's talk about something truly amazing: AI image generation. This is all about taking an idea, just a thought in your head, and turning it into a stunning, high quality picture in like seconds. It's wild.
You know the feeling, right? You're scrambling to finish a project, maybe a presentation or a post for social media, and you have this perfect image in your mind's eye. But you just can't find it. You scroll through endless stock photo sites, and nothing's quite hitting the mark. It's frustrating. But what if you could just, well, make it yourself, right then and there?
Think about how it used to be. Getting a custom image was a whole production. You'd have to hire a professional, a photographer, or a designer, and you're talking days, maybe even weeks of back and forth, not to mention the cost. Yeah, that was the old way. The new way? It's a total game changer. All you need is a couple of seconds and a few words, what we call a prompt, and boom, your imagination is literally on the screen.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with how this all works, from idea to image. Then we'll dig into how the AI actually creates stuff. After that, we'll get to the really good part, crafting the perfect prompt. We'll also look at some magic editing tricks, figure out which digital canvas is right for you, and wrap up with a super important bit on creating with responsibility.
Okay, let's dive right in. First up, from idea to image, we're going to pull back the curtain and understand the magic behind all this.
So what's really happening here? The best way to think about it is to imagine an artist, but an artist with a perfect photographic memory of pretty much every image on the internet. It's not just finding a photo for you. That's the key thing to get. It's actually creating a brand new one from scratch based on your description. It's learned the connection between words and visuals on a massive scale.
And you have to understand, the speed at which this has improved is just mind-blowing. I mean, go back just a few years, and AI images were, well, they were kind of nightmare fuel. Blurry, distorted, just plain weird. But today, we're talking about images that are so photorealistic you'd swear they were taken by a professional photographer. Or incredibly detailed illustrations that seem to understand really complex, abstract ideas. The leap has been massive. Okay, which brings us to the next, and I would say the most crucial part of this whole thing: how the AI actually creates, and more importantly, how you can craft the perfect prompt. This right here is the secret sauce.
So a perfect prompt isn't just random words. It has a structure, an anatomy. Honestly, it's kind of like a recipe with 5 key parts. First, you've got your subject. Then you layer on the style and medium. After that, you set the mood with lighting and atmosphere. You frame the shot with composition. And finally, you add a little polish with some technical details. Let's actually build one right now.
Okay, so starting with the subject. This is all about being specific. A beginner might just type a dog, and you'll get a dog. But a pro? A pro gives the AI details to work with, like a golden retriever puppy wearing a small blue hat and sitting on a wooden porch. You can just see the difference, right? You've given the AI a story to tell. All right, let's add the next layer, style. What if you don't want a photo? Easy. We just add something like as a watercolor painting. And just like that, the entire vibe of the image changes. You could ask for a 3D render, a charcoal sketch, or cinematic lighting. The possibilities are pretty much endless. Next up, and this is where the real magic happens, is lighting. This is what sets the mood. By adding soft, natural light, golden hour, suddenly you have this warm, beautiful, almost nostalgic feeling. But you could just as easily say dramatic, moody lighting or a futuristic neon glow and get something completely different. And then composition. This is where you tell the AI where to point the camera. So if we add close-up portrait, all the focus is now right on our puppy's face. But you could ask for a wide landscape shot to see everything around him, or even a low-angle shot to make our little puppy look like a superhero. You're the director here. And last but not least, a little bit of polish. Adding things like high resolution or sharp focus are like signals to the AI to really crank up the quality and detail. And there you go. We went from just a dog to this beautiful, specific, detailed piece of art. That's the power of a good prompt. But, what happens when you generate an image and it's almost perfect? There's just one little detail you wish you could change. Well, that's where these magic editing tricks come in. Let's look at how you can perfect your creation. Okay, first up is something called in-painting. So let's say you've got this picture of a living room, but you're not loving that lamp on the table. With in-painting, you can literally just highlight the lamp and type in, say, a modern glass vase, and the AI just swaps it out, perfectly matching the lighting, the shadows, everything. It's incredible. And it's not just for fixing things. You can use it to experiment, to try out different ideas within your image. It really is like having a magic eraser and a paintbrush all in one. Then there's outpainting, which is just as cool. Imagine you have a portrait, but it's cropped way too close. Outpainting lets you zoom out. The AI literally imagines what's outside the original picture and generates it for you. So that tight close-up can become a full body shot of that same person standing in a beautiful park. It's amazing for fixing a bad crop, sure, but it's also a powerful storytelling tool. You can reveal more of the world and totally change the context of the image.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, I'm ready to try this, but where do you actually go to start creating? Let's talk about choosing your digital canvas. You've basically got 3 main flavors of platforms out there. First are the integrated assistants. These are the ones you'll find built into chatbots you might already be using. They are super easy to get started with, really conversational, but you sacrifice a bit of fine-tuned control. Then you have the artistic platforms. These are for when you want the absolute most beautiful, aesthetic results. They have endless knobs and dials to tweak, but yeah, there's a bit of a learning curve. And finally, you've got the professional suites. Think of the AI tools being built right into software you'd use for work. These are usually your safest option for commercial projects because of how they're trained, but they might not be as wild and experimental as the others. Which brings us to our last and honestly a really important section, creating with responsibility. This is stuff that every single new creator really needs to know. So here's a quick checklist to keep in mind. First, always look closely at your images. AIs can still get a little weird, especially with things like hands or text, so just give it a once-over. Second, remember that copyright law for AI stuff is still being figured out, so it's a bit of a gray area. Keep an eye on that. Third, and this is a big one, always check the terms of service, especially if you plan to use your images for commercial work. And finally, a great tip is to actively prompt for diversity in your images. It helps counteract the AI's biases and, honestly, just leads to way more creative and interesting results. When you step back and think about it, image generation is pretty much the closest thing we have to a superpower in this digital age. It's the ability to make your thoughts into real, tangible visuals almost instantly. It's an absolute game changer for creativity. Once you get the hang of crafting a good prompt, all those old technical barriers just disappear. You can go straight from a fleeting idea to a finished creation. The tools are out there, they're easy to access, and they're getting better every single day. So really, the only limit is your imagination, which leaves just one question. What are you going to create first?